Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy, and I want to specifically talk about the 2023 blockbuster Blue Beetle and the political speech that is contained in that film, and how Vivek Ramaswamy, in my humble opinion, can save us from the next DCU movie that is used to accomplish wealth class bullying. All right, so first of all, here's my supposition. First of all, the 2023 DC blockbuster cost $104 million and it had 127 minutes in it, which means it literally cost almost $1 million a minute, right? And so approaching $1 million a minute, right? So there was literally over 1,000 people that labored very, very hard on this film, and they made it pure garbage. They actually made a good movie that is delightful and really could be enjoyed by anyone who is not being culturally shoved, culturally cursed at, culturally name called in the middle of it. But anyone who's a thinking being cannot enjoy this film, right? In my humble opinion. Well, there's one small group, but let's get it there. So there's political speech in massive political speech in Blue Beetle, right? So, by the way, spoilers for Blue Beetle here. So first of all, I just want to say this was in the trailer, so I didn't go see the movie in the theaters because I didn't want to give it $1 to support the horrendous things that they were doing in this, right? So basically, I didn't want to support just the chicanery they were up to in this. It's too much, really just too much. So basically, the political speech it's George Lopez's character, Cesar, who is Blue Beetle's uncle, right? And what does he say? He says Batman is a fascist, okay? Now, I want to explain this to you, okay? So this is a DC movie that they spent almost $1 million a minute to make, right? And it's in the DC cinematic universe. Those are not debatable reality elements, right? They're just, that's the way it is, right? So basically, at that point, you're like, what were they thinking? So the executives were saying one of two things. They were saying, and this movie it did terribly. It's one of the worst performing DC cinematic universe movies ever. And the reason why is, who logically would be interested in this, right? So you're just like, hey, let's make a DC movie. But what we want to make sure is anybody who's ever read a Batman comic, or hundreds or over 1,000 Batman comics, or watched every single Batman series, which there are literally a dozen Batman television series, literally a dozen or more, right? Or watched any of a dozen movies he's been in over the last 34 years. We don't want them here, right? Like, we're telling them they are repugnant human beings because they've been reading and enjoying a fascist for decades. We want people who want to come to a DC movie but hate Batman. Do you understand how far the Hollywood executives had to bend over backwards to get to this point where they're like, we want people to come to this movie, but we want DC fans to come to this movie, but not DC fans who like Batman. Do you know how many people like that exists? I can tell you how many. Not many. And that's who went. Almost everybody was like, I'm not going to go watch a movie where you're yelling Batman is a fascist in the trailer. This is wealth bullying, right? And the reason why the executives did it, like, they literally, basically 1,000 people worked on this. At some point, a gaffer or a grip who had read Batman comics and enjoyed every Batman movie came up and goes, we got to take this line out, man. Like, everyone who likes DC, except for 1 in 100 people, love Batman. So this will infuriate any Batman fan. And then you're left with DC fans who don't like Batman, which is literally nobody. You might find a guy, somewhere, but there might be 3 of these people in the whole world. This movie will tank, right? But if you do it right, I also saw Avengers Endgame, and that made close to $3 billion. So if you just take that line out, you could make $3 billion, Hollywood executives. Somebody said that, right? Somebody said that to those people, right? And you know what that Hollywood executive said? He shuffled that guy off, and then in his mind, he called his wife, and he's like, "They want to make $3 billion. What I want is, I can't wait to watch as I put out a DC movie and insult every DC fan that's out there, except maybe 1%, right? And they'll watch it, right? And he was right. I watched it on Max for free, right? And now Max thinks that, people like the movie, right? He's like, what's really valuable to me is that I shove them, I denigrate them, I name call them while they consume the product. It is cultural, it is culture-based, wealth-classed bullying, okay? And this is what Vivek Ramaswamy can fix, right? When he is the president on day one, he can establish the Department of Hollywood and say, listen, and that Department of Hollywood can put a government agent in every single boardroom that is writing even a single show or a movie and saying, no, you are absolutely not allowed to screw up one of America's most valuable intellectual properties. And if you say Batman is a fascist again, we will eminent domain Batman from you, right? Now you guys sit at this table, you tell a Batman story, and you stop wealth class bullying, right? Super high, wealthy Hollywood executive bullying a middle class American. Wait, Scott, wouldn't it be poor? No, poor Americans can't afford to go to the movies, right? It's literally just wealthy Hollywood executives bullying culture-based, and oh, they didn't go to Ivy like me, right? They just went to a regular state school, right? And then, and wealth class bullying. And Vivek Ramaswamy can stop this, right? He can spin up the Department of Hollywood and on day one say, you guys have had a great time here in Hollywood. There's going to be a government agent sitting in every single one of your meetings, and no more of your nonsense. It's narrative over message. I will not allow you to check every box on the Hollywood play. Oh, it's got to be against environmentalism. Oh, it's got to be for radical independence, for radically independent people. It's got to stop. It's got to stop, right? We need someone to say, these properties are American property. It's just like our land. It was built here, it was born here, and we will protect the value of it. You will not run it to zero. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. Get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.